Every time he thought of the bomb, the man would bang on the sewer pipe once, because only in this way could he cover up the loud noise and avoid being heard by the guards above. This thick pipe was his only escape route. After more than a dozen attempts, the man finally managed to break it open. A torrent of filthy water gushed out instantly, accompanied by an indescribable stench. But he didn't care at all. He immediately crawled into the filthy pipe, moving forward toward the dawn of freedom. Even though the pipe was filled with the stench of sewage, he gritted his teeth and pressed on, because he had spent nearly 20 years planning his escape from this prison. After emerging from the sewer, he didn't dare waste a single moment and ran straight toward the woods. Soon, it was the next morning. When the guards called roll, they noticed that the prisoner in room 245 still hadn't come out. Seeing that there was still no movement from the room, the furious guard rushed over, but when he reached the door, he was stunned, because there was no one in the cell at all. Meanwhile, the warden was just about to change clothes when he suddenly heard the alarm. He immediately sensed something was wrong and hurried over to the cell. He then started furiously berating his subordinates, demanding to know how the prisoner could have disappeared when he was clearly present during roll call last night. Next, he ordered someone to bring in the prisoner's best friend, a convict named Red. He figured that since the two were always together, the man must have told Red something before escaping. Hearing this, the warden became even more furious. Since the prison was built, nothing like this had ever happened before. In a fit of rage, he picked up a stone nearby and threw it at the poster on the wall, only to hear a strange echo. When he walked over to take a closer look, he found that the stone had actually gone straight through the poster, leaving a small hole. He immediately realized something, quickly reached his hand in, and tore down the poster in one go. To his shock, there was a huge hole in the wall, leading straight to the outside of the prison. Everyone was stunned by this scene. When on earth had the man dug such a tunnel? Immediately after, the prison guards began a large-scale search with police dogs, but after a whole day of effort, all they found was an almost worn-out hammer and a tattered prison uniform. Even now, the guards still can't believe that, all by himself and with just a small hammer, he managed to dig such a long tunnel. Originally, the man just wanted to carve his name on the wall, but he accidentally discovered that the plaster came off very easily when he chipped at it. As someone who enjoyed studying geology, he immediately understood the key to the problem. Because the prison hadn't been repaired for a long time, the cement on the walls had severely deteriorated due to weathering. He instantly realized that this was an opportunity given by fate. From then on, whenever he had the chance, he would start chipping away at the wall. The poster on the wall became the perfect cover, and as for the cement he chipped off, he would quietly pour it out of his pants whenever he was keeping watch. The hammer was something he had asked Red to get for him. This guy had already been here for 20 years and knew all the ins and outs. Except for the keys in the guard's hands, there was almost nothing he couldn't get his hands on. But in the end, surprise inspections in prison were unavoidable. The man knew very well that if this secret was ever discovered, it would mean certain death. To avoid arousing suspicion, he pretended to be reading a book. When the warden came over with his men, he did his best to cooperate, trying not to let them see how nervous he was. The guards searched everywhere, rummaging through boxes and drawers, not even sparing the corners of the chairs. The man could only silently pray on the side, hoping they wouldn't tear down the poster. In the end, after searching for quite a while, they didn't find anything unusual. At this moment, the warden, who had remained silent the whole time, walked in and then took the Bible from the man's hands.
Be there, for you know not when the master of the house may arrive or return, perhaps at any moment, unexpectedly.
Mark 13:35.
Coincidentally, he also enjoyed reading the Bible, so he was quite satisfied with the man's answer. Even though the prison rules forbade inmates from hanging posters, he made a special exception and did not confiscate it. Before leaving, he returned the Bible to him and remarked that the path to redemption was hidden within its pages. In fact, he used this book to hide a hammer, and this hammer was his path to salvation. The man was a banker who had been sentenced to 2 life terms for murdering his wife and her lover, but he was actually innocent. That day he got drunk and originally intended to scare them with a gun, but after hesitating for a long time, he never went through with it. He didn't want to commit a crime, so he drove back home and threw the gun into the river. But unexpectedly, the next day his wife and her lover were still found dead, and the murder weapon was a revolver just like the one the man owned. The judge used this as evidence to convict him, and in the end, he was sent to Shawshank prison. Whenever a new inmate arrives here, the old prisoners always place bets on who will cry first. At first, Red didn't think much of the man, believing that his thin and weak appearance would make him an easy target. The other companions, however, thought that the fat guy would be the first to break down and beg for mercy. Seeing the cheers of the old inmates around him and their hungry, predatory looks, the man couldn't even imagine having to spend the rest of his life here. Once all the newcomers had entered, the warden began to read out the rules of the place. At that moment, one of the prisoners suddenly asked when they would be eating. He didn't answer, but instead gestured to the captain of the guard standing nearby.
You eat when we say you eat. You shit when we say you shit. You piss when we say you piss. You got that, you maggot-dicked motherfucker, on your feet.
I believe in 2 things, discipline and the Bible. Here you'll receive both. Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to me.
After that, they were taken to wash the dirt off their bodies. After all that was done, they were made to walk naked into their cells. All these newcomers understood deeply that the moment the iron door closed, their lives no longer belonged to themselves, but to Shawshank prison. In order to win the bet, Red's companions began to violently intimidate the fat guy.
Tell you what, I'll introduce you around a bit just to make sure you feel absolutely comfortable and welcome here and really make you feel right at home. I know a couple of big old bull queers who would just love to make your acquaintance. Especially that big white mushy butt of yours.
God, I just don't feel like I belong here. Not at all.
We have a winner!
I want to go home!
Sure enough, the fat guy couldn't take it anymore. He started crying and shouting that he wanted to go home, and soon the commotion attracted the prison guards. When the guards came over, the fat guy got even more agitated, crying and begging them to let him go. In the end, he was mercilessly dragged out and then beaten by the captain, every blow landing hard on his head. The surrounding inmates couldn't bear to watch any longer and started pleading for him. Their original intention was just to mess with the newcomer, but they never expected things to turn out like this. Before long, the fat guy was lying on the ground, motionless. After that, the captain had him sent to the infirmary and warned the other inmates that if they made any more trouble, they'd end up just like him. The next morning, news of the fat guy's death spread through the prison. Driven by curiosity, he asked for the fat guy's name.
What was his name?
What the fuck do you care, new fish? It doesn't fucking matter what his name was. He's dead.